Yo guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another video on the Crown channel. And today we are going to be doing Pygame. And Pygame is a library in Python that allows you to build visual games just like this one, Snake. And it's like probably, if not my favorite module, like one of my most favorite module libraries, because it's just so fun, very simple, and very exciting to learn as well, and interesting. You can do tons of stuff with this. You know, you can build different games like Space Invaders. This one's Snake right here. You can do like kind of like not so much video games, but you know, kind of like other stuff as well. Like a tic-tac-toe. You can do like Sudoku. You can do other stuff. It's just extremely cool, and very fun and interesting. And once you learn, like, you know, about it, it'll just get better and better. So let's just get started. So I've already created a file here, Pygame episode 1.py. So the first few episodes will use just kind of more raw, like kind of beginner kind of code, and then as we go on, we'll start using like OOP and just building games. We'll do projects through the series, and yeah, and eventually after this series you'll have a good understanding of Pygame and how you can use it. So let's just get started. So as I said, I've created a file, and we are going to just start off straight. We're just going to start straight off with the code, and so you start off with import Pygame. Now, before you do this, you want to make sure in the command prompt that you've pip installed. Oh, I can't spell. Pygame. So just do pip install Pygame. This should work. I already have it, so it didn't really take that long. You might have to do pip 3. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't really take that long. It'll take like 2-3 minutes. And once you have that, you will be able to import Pygame. Otherwise you'll get an error here. So yeah, once you have that installed, we're ready to go. So obviously, if you're using any sort of library in Python, the first thing you want to do is import it, just like any module, like random or time. So we import Pygame, and then we call this function. It's in. I am in an IDE right now. You don't have to be. You can just use the default text editor. I'm in one, and I'm also using autocomplete engine. So if you guys wanna go check that out, feel free to. The name is Kite, and I'll just put the link in the description. But you can just use the default text editor. I'd recommend starting with the default text editor and no like autocomplete engine, because you want to really get the syntax down. Whenever you start any library or whatever, you want to get the syntax down. You don't want this like engine just kind of helping you through the syntax. Let's say I get stuck, like I don't know how to make a window, and then I have this engine that just says the whole line and just press enter. You don't want that. You want to make sure you have it all down and memorized. And then once you start, getting used to it, then you can use an autocomplete engine. So the next time we do is pygame.init. It's like a built-in function. It just initializes Pygame. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we have to create a window. So win, which is short for window, is equal to Pygame. I'm not using the engine just because I want you guys to see me typing the full thing. And then set underscore mode. And then inside here we'll put a tuple, however you want to pronounce it, which will say 500, 500. Now what this 500 is basically 500 pixels by 500 pixels. We're going to do 500 by 500 pixels because that's convenient. It's usually what people do, and yeah. So after that, now this line is technically optional, but I just do it anyway. It's pygame.display.set underscore caption. And then we can give whatever caption we want. So I'm gonna say episode 1 tutorial. So EP1 underscore tutorial. Okay. So once we have that down, we can save and we can just run it. So Control B in Sublime Text if you're using my editor. And you see, you probably caught a window pop up for like a second, and then it went away. Now that's because we don't have a main loop where basically we can keep that window open like forever until we want to close it. Right now we're just like kind of turning it on, and then it's just turning it off because we haven't exactly said how long we want it to be on for. After we've done this, which is just the standard code, you'll see it everywhere. We'll define a variable. So run is equal to true. Now what this does is this is set as true, because then we'll do another line called while run, which is a while loop. And since run is equal to true, it's basically a while true, which is a forever loop. And so this means that the window will just stay open at all times until we close it. We're gonna have a specific event when we want to close it, and now we need to know when to quit it or close it. So we'll go. I don't know when. So for event in pygame.event.get. Now, event.get is basically like a ton of events that can like happen in Pygame. So I'll just list a few. Like one is like you press a key on your keyboard. One is you press down your mouse. And then one is quit. So we run a for loop in that like list kind of events. And then we say if event.type is equal to pygame.quit. So this is basically asking if the event type, so the type of event is a pygame.quit, which is a quit. So if we press that X at the top right of our screen, then we'll say that run equals false. False. I just can't type today. So run equals false basically means, so if we had run equals true here and we're doing while true, since the while loop kind of depends on whatever run is equal to, so if it's equal to true, it'll be running. If it's equal to false, it'll stop, exit out of this, and go to the next line. Make sure it's not indented with this while loop. It'll go straight to this line, whatever's not indented in this while loop, which this is the first line that's not indented. It'll go straight to this, and basically this line does what it says. It quits the window, and that is like as simple as it gets, really. This is just a basic window, Pygame window, and that's not what I want. Okay, Pygame window, and when we want to close it, we just press this X, and it closes. And yeah, that's that. So now we have that down. In this tutorial, after we get the basics down, we're also gonna be drawing basic shapes. So I'm gonna draw shape, and then we'll also be moving the shape, and just basic stuff. So let's get into it. So let's draw a rectangle. So for a rectangle, so this 500, it's kind of, as I said, it's pixels, but you can also think of it as an X and a Y. for example, in math, you have your coordinate plane, similar to this. You have your x and y. So this, the top left is 0, 0. So just like math class, as you go more towards the right, your x coordinate increases. But in Pygame, as you go down, your y coordinate doesn't decrease, but instead it increases. So that means that if you want to put something like at like 300, the y coordinate, it would be in the lower half of the screen, the lower portion. So yeah, so we can think of this window as an x and a y. Basically, the 500 means like the maximum x is 500, so the width, the length is 500, and then the height is 500 as well. So it is a square. So yeah, so in this 500 and 500, we want a specific x and y that we can draw our rectangle. So I'm gonna define an x. Let's say, let's do it at right bang smack in the middle. It won't actually be bang smack in the middle because you have to take into account the width and the height. But the x will put us in the middle, and the y will put as 250 as well. So yeah, the x and the y will be right in the middle. And now we're not really moving much here, but in the while loop, we will be moving stuff. So I'm just gonna put this line right now. Pygame.time.delay 50, and you might have saw that my autocomplete engine said that 50 is in milliseconds. So that means that this is kind of a delay. You do want to have some sort of delay. You don't want to have no delay. You'll see later on, because when you move an object, if there's no delay, it'll go so fast you'll barely even see it. So you want to have some delay so you can actually like have a good, clear, vision of the object you're moving. So we keep this line, and yes. So now we are going to draw a rectangle. So there's a specific built-in function for that from Pygame. So we're going to do pygame.draw.rect. And inside this, we have to pass some arguments. First, we need to pass our window. So we all need to find it. It's just this win right here. Maybe you call this screen, but basically whatever this line is equal to, you do want to set it equal to something, so you can pass in this argument here. So win, and then we want to define a color. So it's a tuple or tuple, whatever you want to call it. And this has another set of arguments as RGB. So in the form RGB. We're not going to actually write this, but basically R stands for red. You probably already know this. Green stands for green, and G stands for green, and B stands for blue. So we want to have, if we want to pick a color, let's go for red. So that would be 255, which is the max of any R or G or B you can have. 0, so no green and no blue. So that means it'll be like the reddest red out there. I don't even know if that's a term. And then we're going to pass another kind of tuple. And this has arguments x, y, width, and height. We didn't define a width and height, but we're going to assume it's going to be fixed for now, so we don't really need to make a variable. It probably is good. You should probably get into a habit of making variables like every time you're passing some argument or using it. So x, y, width, we're just going to say 40, and then the height 40, so it'll be a square. And then you might say, we're done. Let's just run it, and you don't see a rectangle. And that's because Pygame needs to know when to update the display. Because if you're just calling this function, it won't really know, like, it'll kind of get to know that you want to draw it, but it has to actually update the display to, render it. So that means that we're going to have to have a line pygame.display.update. All of these like lines are like pretty self-explanatory. Another reason why Pygame is just awesome. It's pretty easy to pick up. So it just does what it says. It updates the display, and we don't really need to pass any arguments here. And it's always a good habit to keep this line like at the end of your while loop, not outside the while loop, not after it ends, but like at the last line. So this is the last line in our while loop, but it comes after this for event in pygame.event.get. It doesn't always have to, but it should come. It's a good habit to make it come at the end of your while loop. But it could work if I put it like at the top. It'll still work, but once you get into bigger programs, you're gonna be having like a lot of lines in this while loop. So it's good to make sure that, like, after you call all the draw functions, after you call the moves and everything, then to update the display. So like all in one, they'll come. So yeah, we'll just keep it here, and now we'll run it. And now we see there is a square in the middle of our screen. It's not really in the middle because I'll explain to you later. And yeah, we said rect, but remember a square is also a rectangle, so yeah. Now I'm going to explain in a rectangle what x and y coordinates do we actually take, because we said x, y here, and we said 250, 250, but which part of this square is 250, 250? So as you can see here, I made this window a bit bigger. I actually made it 1,000, 1,000, and here, if you guys see my mouse and the square, now I'm gonna explain where 250, 250 actually is for this rectangle or square, whatever. So 250, 250 in terms of x and y for a rectangle is always the top left corner in your square or rectangle. So the top left meaning this corner, if you can see my mouse. So this corner right here would be 250, 250. And that 250, 250 is where the Pygame draws it. And then you need the width so that they add the width to the x coordinate, and also add the height to your y coordinate. So now we've drew a shape. Now we want to say make it move. So the way to do that is we're gonna have to define a velocity, or you could actually just say vel, or you could say speed, whatever you want to say. I'll just say vel. And we have to set it as some number. So basically, it's gonna be how many pixels the square moves like each time we tell the x coordinate to increase. Because basically, to move this rectangle, we're gonna have to make its x coordinate increase by a certain amount, so it looks like it's moving. Obviously, you could do this with y as well to look like it's moving up or down, but we'll just do the x coordinate. So vel is equal to, let's say, I think 5 is reasonable. You don't want it like 50 because then it's going to be moving very fast. And now we're going to actually change the x coordinate. So we're going to say x plus equals vel. Now it's a basic Python operation. Python operation. You guys, I'm assuming you probably know Python by now. You don't want to be doing this if you haven't even looked at Python and stuff. You could also do x plus vel. But x plus equals vel is just the quicker way to write it. So that's what we use usually. So yeah. X plus equals vel, and now let's run this. So it just, since it's in a while true, it's gonna keep moving. It's still going. You can't see it, but yeah, it's just moving. But one of the things you might have noticed is that the square itself isn't moving. It looks like it's kind of extending the right hand side of the square. Now, how to fix that is we need to call another kind of function in Pygame called win.fill. Now, the actual name isn't win.fill. You just give your window name, which we've named win. If you named it screen, you put screen, and then dot fill 0, so the color you want to put. We'll just say black because our whole our background of the screen, like our screen is black, so we're gonna put in black. You don't have to put all the RGB for this. I think they like changed it now. You just need to put one color, and actually it won't work. I think if you put all 3 arguments. But yeah, fill. It's not so self-explanatory this time. It just basically, in our case, means that like it's not gonna just like kind of keep on extending it. It's actually you're actually gonna see it move, the rectangle itself move each time. So again, just like the Pygame.display and update, it's probably a good habit to keep this at the top of your screen. You'll see why later on. You know, as you get into bigger programs. So always a good habit to just start it now. So we've made our square move right. Now let's say what would we do to make it move left? So to make it move left, we would actually decrease the x value. Basically, what that would do is just how I said. In the Pygame window, there's an X. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. There's an X and there's a Y. And as you go more towards the right, just like in math, your X gets greater. So that means if you wanted to decrease your X, you would have to make it go to the left. So to make it go to the left, we would just replace this plus sign with a minus sign. And basically, that means the same thing as X is equal to X minus val, and the shorter way to write that is just minus equals val, and this is taking this velocity 5 and decreasing the x coordinate by 5 pixels every single time, forever in this while loop. And yeah, so that's basically what this does. And now let's run it, and now you see it's moving left. So, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to press the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, enjoying the content, comment down below what you want to see next on our channel, and in the meantime, I'm going to be deciding where I want to go with this series, and yeah, so, thanks for listening, and